welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. I am Wasbir Hussain. It has been 22 years since the government of India signed a ceasefire agreement with the NSCN-IM and begun peace talks. It has been 4 years since Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government signed the so-called framework agreement with the same Naga rebel group, the NSCN-IM, triggering speculations that a Naga peace agreement was round the corner and that it was only a matter of time. 4 years after the August 2015 framework agreement, a lot of developments have taken place in the Naga insurgency front. These include the return of the other major group, the NSCN-K, to the fold of the peace process after the truce was snapped in the wake of the ambush on an army patrol that had killed 18 soldiers in Manipur's Chandel district. Then again, questions have once again been raised of late about the sanctity of the ceasefire between the government and the NSCN-IM in the wake of reports that rebels belonging to the outfit, that is the NSCN-IM, were behind the daylight assassination of NPP leader and West Khonsa MLA Tirong Abong in Arunachal's Tirap district on the 21st of May. Again, when two NSCN-IM rebels were arrested recently in Manipur, the rebel group was unhappy, saying, why should its cadres be arrested when there was a ceasefire in place? This led to sharp responses from Meitei groups in the Imphal Valley, who said the truce was not applicable in Manipur and was in force only in Nagaland. To discuss the complex and highly sensitive issue on the road ahead for an acceptable solution to the Naga problem, I am joined from Kohima by Naga Hoho leader Elu Nadang. Also in Kohima, I have Mr. Teza Theri from the Naga Tribes Council. From Imphal, I am joined by Mr. Khuraijam Athoba, Secretary General of the influential United Committee Manipur. I also have in Imphal Mr. Seth Satsang, former President of the All Naga Students Association Manipur. And in New Delhi, I have well-known author and commentator on Northeastern affairs, Mr. Sanjoy Hazarika. And of course, at our studios in Guwahati, I have the former Special DGP Assam and someone who has been tracking insurgency in the region for decades, Mr. Pallab Bhattacharjee, and Mr. Arunav Goswami from the Center for Development and Peace Studies, a leading think tank working on peace and security in the region. Gentlemen, welcome to Northeast Tonight. I'd like to go straight to you, Mr. Sanjoy Hazarika in New Delhi. Sanjay da, I'll come to you a little later. Mr. Elu Nadang, you know, it has been 22 years since the ceasefire with NSCN-IM has been clinched. It has been 4 years since the framework agreement was signed. A lot of developments, as I have said, have taken place. NSCN-K is part of the talk process now. The number of Naga national political groups have gone up to 7. It is 7 groups plus the NSCN-IM that is talking. And yet, we have no clue as to when we can hope to achieve an acceptable solution to the Naga problem. Are you getting worried by the day, Mr. Elu Nadang?
Yes, ceasefire has been signed for the last 22 years. But we are made to understand that the Naga national political groups, with all sincerity, they have been pursuing to achieve the long-desired dreams of the Naga people. And so, when 2015 framework agreement was signed, people with hope have been waiting, but last 4 years nothing happened. But with the slogan that the BJP NDA government have been saying, solution, election for solution, we are hopeful that with this recent election, BJP has got a thumping majority. We are hopeful that solution will be arriving soon.
Okay, Mr. Teza Terry, are you equally hopeful? Mr. Terry, are you equally hopeful like your colleague, Mr. Elunadang?
Oh yes, very hopeful. Under the dynamic leadership of Mr. Modi, the talk have been taken to a very advanced stage. A very good level of understanding between Government of India and negotiating parties.
All right.
They've understood each other well, and negotiations have gone very advanced. We only need a political will of Government of India to bring this talk to a logical conclusion.
Okay, we will discuss whether it is as simple. It is very good to hope. We always live on hope and optimism. That is how it should be. But there are a lot of complex issues. I will soon come to that, Mr. Elunadang and Teza Terry. Let me quickly go to New Delhi. Mr. Sanjay Hazarika, well-known author and commentator, joining me from New Delhi. Mr. Sanjay Hazarika, it has been 22 years since the Naga ceasefire with NSCN-IM was clinched. 4 years since the framework agreement. Still, the road to Naga peace still continues to be extremely slippery. Now, with the inclusion of the NSCN-K once again into the peace process, and there are a lot of assassinations, violence by the Naga rebels in areas outside Nagaland as well as in Nagaland itself. So how do you assess the situation?
Wasbir, thank you for having me on your program. The problem immediately in our discussion, which is that not just the question of living in hope, but the fact that we have only men discussing this issue when it affects women and
Okay, I've got a very bad audio line with Mr. Sanjay Hazarika. Mr. Sanjay Hazarika, I'm just coming back to you very quickly. Let me have the opening remarks from Seth Satsang. Before I go to Mr. Kuraiza Mathoba, let me hear Mr. Seth Satsang, a well-known Naga leader from Manipur. Seth Satsang, once again, the issue of jurisdiction. There were two NSCN-IM rebels were arrested in Manipur, and there was widespread protest saying that why should they not be arrested? Whereas the Naga rebels are saying that ceasefire is applicable everywhere, including Manipur. So this whole dispute over the jurisdiction, do you think it has come up once again, or do you think that differences in perception still remains?
Hello.
Okay, Seth Satsang cannot hear me. Mr.
One second. Cannot hear you properly. Yeah, one second.
Okay, can you hear me or not, Seth Satsang?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, now
Yeah.
you see,
Hello?
two NSCN-IM rebels were arrested in Manipur. The NSCN was very upset. They said ceasefire should be applicable in Manipur as well. They think that the ceasefire is applicable in Manipur, whereas several organizations in the Imphal Valley are saying that why should they not be arrested? Because the ceasefire is not applicable in Manipur. My question is there still a difference of opinion about the jurisdiction of the ceasefire? Because that is very much linked to the Naga issue. Respond. Seth Satsang, please respond.
Okay, yeah. In the case of jurisdiction of the ceasefire, the ground rules, there is no dispute. There is no differences. Since there is no differences and no dispute, there is a designated camp in Manipur. If the government of India says there is no ceasefire in Manipur state, they have to also withdraw the designated camp in Manipur.
All right, all right. That is, I think that is a very strong point. I am coming to Mr. Pallab Bhattacharjee for his response. But before that, that's a very important and significant point that Mr. Seth Satsang has made. I'm going to Mr. Khuraisa Mathoba, the Secretary General of UCM, United Committee Manipur, which is a very influential Meitei civil society organization. Mr. Athoba, you know, I think Seth Satsang has made a very important point. The ceasefire is supposed to be applicable only in Nagaland. Ceasefire is not supposed to be applicable anywhere outside Nagaland. So Seth Satsang is arguing or asking a question, if that is so, why should there be a designated camp of the NSC and IM in Manipur? So what do you think? What do you think? Do you still fight over the ceasefire issue? Do you have a dispute on that? Athoba. I think Imphal, we have to fix the lines with Imphal. The same question goes to you, Mr. Pallab Bhattacharjee. That perceptional issue.
It's disconnected.
Yes. That perceptional issue. See, now the Meiteis are thinking that, you know, if the ceasefire is extended beyond Nagaland, it'll legitimize the NSC and IM's claim for inclusion of Naga inhabited areas into their proposed Naga Lim or a Naga homeland plan. So therefore, they are opposing to the ceasefire extension in Manipur. Now, as you know, recently, 2 NSC and IM cadres were arrested in Manipur. Now, NSC and IM is saying, oh, I mean, there's no justification because we have a ceasefire with the government. But Meiteis are saying that ceasefire is not applicable in Manipur. So there is no problem in arresting them. So these issues complicate a peace process. And what extent do you think it can create a situation? After all, we must not forget that 18 people died in anti-ceasefire extension protests in Manipur.
Yes, actually, so far as Assam was concerned, actually, I was basically dealing with Assam rebels.
Right.
So at that time, the suspension of operation was there, designated camps are there. But in case of NSCN, actually, it is an interstate ramification is there, actually, as you were knowing.
True.
Now, the problem is, actually, basically, when the ground rules are made, actually, there are certain issues, particularly that you cannot do certain things, certain illegal things, actually, basically. So in this instant case, actually, which you were referring to, some arms and ammunitions were also reportedly found with them. So if that be the case, actually, then they are doing something which is against the law, actually, basically, and so they are violating the ground rules. I'm not very sure about that, actually, because that is one point which we must keep in mind. Secondly, why there is a camp in Manipur you were referring to, you see, when we discuss with the rebel groups, there are so many situations arise where you will have to take a certain decision, actually, and in fact, Government of India has got a ceasefire monitoring group, I mean, group is there where chairman is an ex, I mean, Lieutenant General, actually, he's also there, he's heading that. Actually, they are looking into all those issues, basically. Actually.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to Khuraisa Mathoba. Athoba, if you can hear me. Mr. Athoba, can you hear me? Mr. Athoba?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Now the question is...
I can hear you.
Yes, yeah. Mr. Khuraisa Mathoba, the question is, we are talking about the slippery road to Naga peace. Now, you know, one of the reasons, basically, the Naga roadblock is from Manipur. That is what a lot of people are saying, particularly Naga leaders are saying that the roadblock is the issue of Naga areas in Manipur. Now the issue is there any doubt, is there any dispute even today about the jurisdiction of the ceasefire? What is your perception of the ceasefire with the NSC and IM?
Wasbir, before coming to that point, let me recall the very instance of the what happened in the year 2001. After the violent protest from the people of Manipur, especially on June 18, when 18 lives were, taken by the security forces, right after that, on 27th of July, the late Prime Minister of India, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he held a joint meeting with all the chief ministers of northeastern states. And in that very meeting, what he said was that the very three words in the ceasefire agreement, which is without territorial limits, is being deleted, and the very ceasefire will be confined to the state of Nagaland only.
Okay. Okay.
And following that, the then Union Home Minister L.K. Advani on a press...
we know that. We know the history.
To the press media, he also endorsed that.
No, I want to know...
My point is...
Yeah, without spending too much time on the background, Mr. Athoba, is there a difference in perception? What do you think today? Do you think this issue of jurisdiction has come up freshly once again?
Definitely, because the government of India, see, why the people of Manipur has been, waiting for this ceasefire agreement to be resolved is because on that very day, before 18 years back, the Prime Minister of India has assured to the people of Manipur that ceasefire will not extend inside the territory of Manipur state. So recently when the NSNIM's Ministry of Information and Publicity has officially declared that ceasefire exists in the state of Manipur, now the onus is to the government of India.
Okay.
What
you have a
the
point.
former Prime Minister told was a blunder to the people of Manipur.
Onus is on the government
what
of India.
NSNIM said recently
I'll come to you.
Is a provocation of the
let
to
me
the people
have the
of
opening
Manipur.
remarks. I'll come back to you. You made a very strong point. Now the onus is on the government of India. Arnav, this is a very ticklish issue. If you recall that incident in 2001 when the State Assembly building was burnt, there was police opened fire on protesters, 18 people were killed. Do you think that kind of situation can be ignored? And now, as you know, when we are talking peace, that incident on 21st May when the NPP MLA was assassinated along with 10 others in Tirap district of Arunachal Pradesh. Now, many are saying the NSCNIM has not claimed, let me put it on record, NSCNIM has not claimed responsibility, but the security agencies are saying that NSCNIM rebels were involved in the killing of Tirong Abo. Now, this matter is becoming extremely complicated.
Yeah, of course. And even if you see, in the case of Manipur, you see, they had an unauthorized camp was set up by NSCNIM in Ukhrul district of Manipur, which was forcibly evacuated. Because you see, it's kind of, NSCNIM is trying to include Manipur in its territory. It's kind of establishing their camps, whether it's a ceasefire camp or an unauthorized camp. They're trying to burst in their territory so that they can say that
expand their
territory.
Okay, we'll come to that. That's an important point. I'll come to both my panelists in Kohima in 1 minute, Mr. Elu Nadang and Mr. Tezathuri. Let me quickly go to Mr. Sanjay Hazarika. Mr. Sanjay Hazarika, we are still talking about ticklish issues like ceasefire jurisdiction. Now, there is peace talks going on for 22 years. And then there are allegations, there are charges, suspicions that it is the NSCNIM which is behind the killing of Tirong Abo, the MLA in Tirap district of Arunachal Pradesh. The question is, can you talk peace in one state and can you have a free run in rest of the places?
See, Wasbir, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, okay, good. Because I have several things to say. The first is that nobody has talked in any detail about the process in which these negotiations are taking place now.
Right.
There is something called the Framework Accord, which has 3 clauses. This is what defines everything that everybody is talking about now. And nobody seems to know exactly whether it's on the panel or outside the country, outside the panel, what these...
The contents of the framework agreement.
Unique. The other is that, the clear sharing of powers. And the third is that the two sides would seek an amicable and peacefully negotiated solution. So that's the framework. But what's the content? And
yeah. Okay. I'm not getting the audio once again. Very, very disturbed line with Mr. Sanjay Hazarika. Mr. Elunadang, if you can hear me, Mr. Elunadang, the question is, you see, that you have said, very rightly said, that the talks are at a very advanced stage. Now the question is, don't you think it is necessary for the NSC and IM, which is talking to the government of India for 22 years and is leading the negotiations? Yes, we know that 7 other NNPG groups are now also part of the negotiations, NSC and K being the latest. My question to you, Elunadang, is this. Don't you think that the Naga civil society or the NSN itself must take utmost care so as not to indulge in any violent activities outside, even outside Nagaland, even if the ceasefire is not in force? Because this vitiates the atmosphere. This disturbs the atmosphere. Do you think it is important or not?
Yes. When we talk about the ceasefire, the original agreement was without territorial limits. So the ceasefire area coverage extends wherever Nagas are. That is one thing I want to make it clear. And yes, it's extremely important to avoid all sorts of violence against our own people. The recent incident that have been talked about, the killing in Arunachal, the media report says it's NSC and IM, but on the other hand, the NSC and IM officially have denied. They have not claimed any responsibility.
Yes.
Therefore, if we are to go by the media reports without any authentic reports, that would be wrong and that would be misleading. And yes, in any case, wherever, be it in Manipur or Assam or Arunachal, wherever it may be, we all must restrain from all these sorts of killing, whichever group it may be.
Absolutely. Very well said. Very well said. Mr. Tezatheri, now, don't you think that Naga civil society has to play a much more proactive role? Now, as Mr. Elunadang has very rightly said, we cannot go by media reports alone because the NSC and IM has denied responsibility. But somebody has definitely carried out this attack. Now, without taking names, is it not imperative on the Naga civil society to make its voice heard? Whichever group that don't indulge in this kind of violence, because the Naga peace process is at a very, very delicate and advanced stage. So that kind of an appeal, that kind of a voice is not heard, is not coming out from the Naga civil society. Am I right, Mr. Tezatheri?
Yeah, if we condemn any sort of killing and violence, if it is established, the public at large wants peace. We want peaceful atmosphere, conducive atmosphere for negotiation, and any violence action that vitiate that kind of atmosphere, the public are not in support of that.
Now, Mr. Palabhacharji, this kind of ambiguity. Now, what is the challenge in front of the security forces? Because there is this big assassination. It's a very, very sensational assassination. Now the government of Arunachal Pradesh has given the responsibility to the NIA to probe the matter. Now, an MLA, sitting MLA, killed along with 10 of his colleagues and including his young son. This is not a matter of joke. Now, NSC and IM is saying that they are not involved in this whole thing. Now, as ordinary citizens or as people in the media, how are we to ascertain who is responsible for this killing? But don't you think it is a challenge for the security forces, number one? Number two, don't you think that since the talks are at an advanced stage, it is necessary for the civil society in Nagaland particularly to make its voice heard that there is no point in talking peace as well as indulging in violence, whoever it may be, because all the major groups are now part of the peace process, by the way.
I fully agree to what you have said, and since NSCN has denied its involvement in this gruesome killing, and at the same time there is some reports, report that they have done it. So it is better that actually this case should be taken up by an investigating agency like NIA at the earliest. That is what I personally feel. Secondly,
they have already started work.
They have already started the work, so the things will come out what exactly has happened. But it is very necessary for the civil society to come and create a congenial atmosphere by their constant interaction with these groups. Secondly, I want to tell you one thing, that initially, if you see our previous experience with the various accords which have taken place in course of this Naga militancy, you will find that this Shillong Accord or that 16-point agreement arrived at between the government of India and the Naga people. Yes, 1960. So 1964, when all those things. Actually, basically, you see there are some dissenting groups among the which were not taken care of. So that is why government of India is very careful. It appears that they are very careful this time, and that is why they are discussing with all the groups, including the civil society.
Including the civil society. I will go for a very, very short break. When I come back, I'll straight go to Imphal to take the views of Mr. Khuraisam Athoba and Mr. Seth Satsang, formerly of the All Naga Students Association of Manipur. We'll go for a short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. I'm going straight to Imphal. I'll go to, first of all, to Khuraisam Athoba, and then I'm coming to Seth Satsang for his response. Mr. Athoba, you know, as you've heard our panelists from Nagaland, they're saying that with the decisive mandate to the BJP and the NDA led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, there is an optimism in Nagaland that this time the solution to the Naga problem is definitely going to come and going to be expedited. Now, the question is, as you hear such comments, such optimism from Naga leaders, is there do you get a little bit apprehensive? Is there apprehension in the mind of the civil society and others in the Imphal Valley? Do you get some kind of an apprehension? How is the mood?
The very framework agreement of 2015, that very agreement is also yet to be declared to the people of Manipur what is the content inside that very agreement. And above that, the recent claim, of the extension of ceasefire, existence of the ceasefire in the Manipur territory is also very much provocative to the people of Manipur. Therefore, we have, yesterday itself, we have submitted a memorandum to the Honorable Prime Minister of India through our Chief Minister, and we are seeking clarification from them regarding what the NSCN has recently claimed about the existence of the ceasefire in the state of Manipur. So we will give some time to that and let the government respond accordingly. And if it is against the wishes or the aspiration of the people of Manipur, then definitely I cannot assure you what will be happening next day.
Okay, this is you have given the memorandum to the Chief Minister when? Yesterday, did you say, under the banner of the UCM?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So that is breaking news coming in that the United Committee Manipur, that is the civil society in Manipur, has already approached the Chief Minister Biren Singh through him, the central government, to seek clarifications on the contents of the framework agreement and as to the status of the ceasefire and so on. Now, Seth Satsang, what is the Naga opinion? What is the Naga opinion in Manipur? Because that is very important. At the end of the day, the NSCNIM has not given up their claims on Naga areas from Manipur. So what are the indigenous Nagas from Manipur think at this stage?
Hello? Hello?
So we have to get fixed, we have to rearrange the windows, we have to get the lines fixed. Can you hear me, Seth Satsang?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Yeah, please respond. If you have heard my question, please respond. What is the Naga mood in Manipur? Yeah. Because the NSCNIM still holds on to the demand for Naga areas in Manipur.
Yes, they have to. The mood of the Naga people in the state of Manipur, there is no conflict, no disagreement, there is nothing contest within the Naga society. We are very optimistic that there will be solution soon. And ceasefire.
Please be specific. Please be specific. That is not my question. You please don't evade the question. That is not my question. My question is, would the Nagas in Manipur be willing to merge with Nagaland, or do you think they will stay with Manipur? What is the mood? I want a little bit of clarity. What are the Nagas in Manipur thinking? Are they thinking in similar lines as the fellow brethren?
There is, okay. There is no question of merging into the Nagaland state. There is no question of merging into the Manipur state. We are longing for the Naga settlement.
Okay, even that means a very important point Mr. Seth Satsang is saying. Even without territorial boundaries being affected, even without territorial boundaries being changed, you think a settlement is possible?
Why not? It is possible.
Okay, that is a very positive statement, Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba. That's a very positive statement coming from your colleague from Manipur. Mr. Athoba, please respond. You have heard it.
Yes.
Please respond
we have been,
fast.
we have been telling this. We have been telling this that you should remember the October mass rally of 2018. Where lakhs of people come out on the street. Our demand was very, very simple and very clear, that Manipur should remain as one political entity, and nothing should ever, try to, dilute the identity of Manipur. And that should be maintained. If that is maintained, then the Naga peace solution, we don't have any objection in that. Naga peace is must.
That means, Khuraizam,
not just in Manipur, in the entire region.
For the sake of clarity, before I go to Nagaland and come to my panelist in the studio, Mr. Athoba, the statement made by the Naga leader from your own state, Mr. Seth Satsang, is very, very positive. He said a solution to the Naga problem can be found even without altering the boundaries of the state. So that is, if that happens, you should have no problem, isn't it?
No, I'm not. Mr. Wasbir? No, I'm not saying that. Wasbir, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
What are you saying?
I didn't say that Naga settlement can be settled without altering the boundary. I didn't say that. I'm saying.
What are you saying?
There has to be a change of alteration of. There should be a change of. Alteration of the boundary.
There should
be. It's a must.
So, but you are saying that you don't want to merge with Nagaland.
No, I didn't say that. There is no question of merging into the Nagaland state.
There is no question.
Settlement doesn't mean merging into other state. Naga settlement doesn't mean merging into other state.
So how do you resolve the territory issue then?
Territorial issue is the territory is very compact and very clear. It is well demarcated.
Okay, so you are actually saying
Nagas are not demanding.
Nagas are not demanding Manipur land. Okay. So,
no, we are not demanding.
I will come in a minute to take the opinion of Khuraiza Mathoba as well, and my panelist in Kohima. But let me very quickly go to Mr. Sanjay Hazarika once again in New Delhi. Mr. Sanjay Hazarika, if you can hear me.
Thank you very much for coming to me. You don't have to ask the question. Let me say a few things.
Yes, please say.
There are a few clear things because people are going round and round in circles without making any sense whatsoever. Everybody should understand that
that is why you are here.
I don't know, and don't interrupt me if possible. Just let me finish what I've had to say because everybody has taken time. There is a new and very powerful Home Minister in place in Delhi. He will need all his acumen, all his ears to the ground to get a sense of what's happening and what could happen. Because the party, for the first time in the history of the Northeast, you have a situation, at least which wasn't there maybe until 30 years ago, where there's one party at the state and at the center in all the states, except Sikkim. But Sikkim is also pro-BJP.
Right.
So you have to be careful of Naga concerns about being absorbed into the mainstream. So now is a good time as any for the government to move forward towards an inclusive agreement. Now, my point on an inclusive agreement, this must meet as many concerns, because you've had concerns, you've had hopes, and you've had aspirations. So it does meet as many concerns as possible as it does aspirations on all sides. Now, in this whole thing, and Mr. Bhattacharya will bear me out on this, it's not just a question of factions, it's not of the central government telling the states what to do, but of local governments placating the local constituencies first. For Assam, it's the border issue. For Manipur, as we've heard, it's territorial integrity, and also for Arunachal. But the fact of the matter is the negotiations which have come on for 22 years have actually moved on a certain set of things which people don't seem to be talking about. There does not seem to be any agreement on disturbing the borders. The borders are not to be disturbed. But there may be the setting up of elected Naga autonomous regional territorial councils in the states adjoining Nagaland, which have a Naga population.
Right.
These would have defined powers of judiciary over customary law as well as financial problems. So you would set up a Naga cultural body, set up a high court in Nagaland, courts dealing with customary law, recognizing the Naga identity, and defining permanent residents of Nagaland as those.
Yes, Sanjay Hazarika, these sounds very nice, but can we implement this? That is the big question.
Yeah, Wasbir.
Meeting aspirations, hopes.
This is not my saying. This is what has been negotiated over the past 5 to 10 years, okay?
We have been negotiating for 22 years, Mr. Sanjay Hazarika.
You don't have to tell me that. I was also associated with the process, if you know. So all I'm saying to you is that this is what has happened, what has been agreed to mostly on the ground between the two sides.
All right.
Now, there is one thing I want to say, and this is something which always comes up in discussions, is that we are talking about negotiations, all of us, the 7 or 8 people are all men. There's not a single woman on the panel.
Okay, fine. We had called a woman on the panel, but the woman on the panel backed out. You know how the Northeast is. Anyway, I'll quickly thank you, Sanjay Hazarika, for speaking. I'll come back to you in a while. Mr. Elunadang, you know, Mr. Sanjay Hazarika says there has to be inclusive agreement, meeting aspiration, hopes. These are very good words. We have been talking about them in seminars after seminars in New Delhi mostly, as well as in all the state capitals of the Northeast. But what is the ground reality? Now, if you have heard your colleague from Manipur, you have heard Mr. Seth Satsang, he's saying that, you know, without altering the boundary, it is not possible. But the agreement says that the framework agreement is talking about an agreement without disturbing the boundaries of the northeastern state. There cannot be another state reorganization. That will lead to a whole lot of problems. You have seen when the ceasefire was extended, there was a whole lot of problem in Manipur in 2001 when 18 people were killed. So emotions, passions run high in the northeast, Ilunadang. What is the road ahead? We are calling it, the road ahead is still very, very slippery. What is the road ahead? Simple question.
See, any solution or any agreement, as the Naga people have been longing for, is all about integration of Naga areas. The aspiration that you know, Naga people have been shouting, have been demanding, have been appealing to neighboring communities to allow the Naga people to live together as one, under one administrative roof. Now, the question of altering boundaries or not altering doesn't arise because it is clear that Naga people exist in Manipur, in the 4 hill districts, and therefore, the question of integration is where the talks have been stuck.
Okay.
And the government of India has been fooling the people time and again. In the talks to the Naga people, when it comes to Nagaland, they said integration is a part of the negotiation. When they go to Assam, Manipur, and other places, government of India will say that they will honor the territorial integrity of Manipur or Assam or northeastern states. So this confusion has led to many very important point.
Very important point that Ilunadang, as always, has been made. Mr. Tazatari, you also speak very clearly. You are known to speak very clearly. You are known to speak your mind very clearly. My question is it because there is lack of transparency in the negotiations that is leading to this whole confusion? What about the ordinary Naga people? Don't you think they should also know a few things what's going on?
As for the Nagas, there is no confusion. We have our own right to live together, and other ethnic groups should not have any problem with that.
Okay.
Now, the government of India have stated very clearly, this integration of Naga contiguous area will be done through democratic process.
Right.
And in the democratic process, all other ethnic groups have their own right to represent themselves. And what is the problem? If it is democratically done, everyone is taken, and their views are being taken. And if democratically this integration can happen.
Now,
this is a process.
That is the process. That is the process. I'll come to you, Mr. Pallab Bhattacharya, in a minute. Mr. Kuraiza Mathoba, it seems clear from the view of the Naga leaders on my panel today that they're saying basically, if I have understood them correctly, subject to correction, they're saying that Nagas, this integration issue does not arise because these are contiguous, compact areas, so they should automatically be united. So that is what they're saying. So now that means the road to Naga peace is not going to be that easy because Manipur, the majority Métis are very clear on their stand as well that there can be no disintegration of Manipur.
Well, Wasbir, when my friend Teza Terry talks about the Naga contiguous area, I think I should also go back a little bit, to the history, because Manipur remains as one political entity, as a sovereign state, for not less than 1,000 years. So, since when the Nagas of Nagaland started thinking that the so-called Nagas in Manipur is very much, same as the Nagas in Nagaland. Since when? We want to know that. Because Manipur has never been, separated or, differentiated in those terms.
Okay.
Say, when we go back to 1833, there was an agreement of the Manipur boundary between the then British government and Manipur king.
Yeah.
It's called Jiri Treaty. At that time, the last boundary of Manipur was located at Chandrapur in Kasar district, which was being delimited to the Jiri river.
Yeah, if we have to go back to history.
So, how come Tamelong district become part of the Nagaland?
Yes, Athoba, this debate can go on and on. If we go into history, this debate will go on and on. But yes, you have made your point. Mr. Pallabhatraji, what do you make out? You've seen the Métis panelists from Imphal Valley. You've heard the Naga leaders, both in Nagaland as well as the Naga leader from Manipur. Now, their argument, so the things are not as simple, as easy that Mr. Sanjay Hazarika. Yes, I agree with Sanjay Hazarika in the sense that we all have to have aspirations, we all have hopes, but how do you fulfill their aspirations without drawing some kind of a response from the other people? One person's aspiration, one group's aspirations may not be the aspirations of the other group. So you have been involved in negotiations in the case of Assam. How important is transparency, or is it possible at all to be transparent in these kind of negotiations?
In case of negotiation with various groups, sometimes transparency takes a backseat. Why I am saying that? Because some of the things, if we declare it publicly, then again there will be a lot of interactions from the society which will hamper the peace process. And secondly, what these panelists have been telling today, I just want to add one point. You see, Nagaland in particular and Northeast in general, actually, I want to say that it is an ethnic society. So many aspirations are there from the ethnic communities. So this sort of problem actually is there not only in Nagaland but in Assam also. We have so many problems because some ethnic group, they are also demanding something else. So long as we do not live together side by side and divert our attention to the development of all the communities, their cultures and other things, that is the only way to get a solution, a way forward. That is what I personally feel. Yes.
Right, absolutely. I'm running short of time. Arnav, Mr. Sanjay Hazarika was talking about the need for an inclusive agreement, meeting aspirations. But the big question is that everybody knows that it has to be inclusive, because it has to be inclusive even among the Naga rebel groups. Yeah. Now it is not just one group. NSC and IM plus 7 other groups, including a big group like the NSC and K. Yeah. So, first of all, I mean, include all their respective points and aspirations. Yeah. Then the aspirations of the Nagas in Manipur. Then the aspirations of the large number of Métis in the Imphal Valley. And we must not forget the fact, Sanjay Hazarika talked about a powerful home minister. No doubt about it, Mr. Amit Shah is a very powerful person. But we should also not forget the fact that the Manipur state is ruled by a BJP government. They also have to look at their own interests. Their main support base comes from the Imphal Valley. Yes. So this is not a very simple thing, isn't it?
Yeah, in fact, when you talk about inclusive agreement, we see that even the 7 NNPCs, NSC and IM, they have not talked with each other, which has been admitted by RN Ravi himself. That though there will be one single agreement, that has been finalized, but the Naga rebel group and the NSC and IM, they have only not talked to each other.
The NNPCs and the NSC and IM has not had a formal dialogue.
Yeah, so where is the inclusive agreement here then? Where the Naga rebel groups are not talking with each other.
So, my final comments, 20 seconds, I will start from Mr. Teza Theri. Very quickly, your concluding remarks. So, the road to Naga peace, still slippery.
I want to respond to Mr. Thoiba government of India is not going to impose anything against the state and the stakeholders. And it will be done through democratic process. That is what I believe.
Okay.
And then now the negotiations have reached a very advanced level. And now since the people have reposed the mandate to Modi government, I believe Modi government will take a political stand.
Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best. We all want an acceptable solution to the Naga peace process. We, including Northeast Light. Yes, Mr. Elunadang, your parting words, concluding remarks. Very quickly.
Yes, I want to give two remarks. Firstly, I would like to remind our Meitei brothers that no amount of hatred between the Nagas and Meiteis will separate us. Good or bad, like it or not, we will remain as neighbors. Therefore, let us decide to remain as a good brother, as a good neighbor, with mutual respect. Number two, I would like to put it like this. What is not possible with the government of India? They have all the authority, they have all the powers. They can decide anything only if they have the political will.
All right, we'll have
the Naga talks have been delayed for so long.
We'll have to wait and watch. I'm running absolutely short of time.
The government of India is not willing to take the...
Right. Seth Satsang, what is your concluding words? Seth Satsang, very quickly, in short.
Okay, thank you. My concluding remark is, line
We are hearing him.
Okay, we can hear you. We can hear you. Please continue. Okay, tell him to, Mr. Khuraizam Athoba, tell him to continue. Tell him to continue, Khuraizam, if you can hear me.
You can continue.
Continue.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
He's telling. Wasbir is there. Hello?
Please make your point.
Hello?
I don't have time. Please make your point.
Yeah. The negotiation, the present negotiation, people, the question of too long, too short doesn't arise. Already 22 years, it might take another 50 years also. So long as the government of India lacks the commitment to settle, so long as the government of India not willing to understand the feelings, the sentiments of the Naga people, it will not come.
Okay. Absolutely. Time should not be a problem. Yes, Khuraizam Athoba, your concluding remarks. Seth Satsang saying that whatever time it takes, solution has to be acceptable. Yes, Khuraizam Athoba, your remarks.
Well, let me give you 2 points. Number one, when you talk about inclusiveness of the Naga insurgent groups, in Manipur we have other Naga groups like the Jaliarong United Front and the Manipur Naga People's Front, which is not the part of the NSN-IM peace process. Number one. Number two, 22 years is a very long time, and it is high time we think over it and try to find out a common goal, common objective, and to deal with the government of India together. Because the government of India is not a reliable government, because they have already threatened us with a legislation like, Citizenship Amendment Bill that will wipe us, every one of us, out of this region, and they will replace us with their, racially similar stuff.
We'll wait and watch.
So
right.
That is what we have to do.
Okay.
We should give a chance to togetherness.
Palabhatraji, 10 seconds.
I will say that we should hope for the best actually and prepare for the worst. And the CFMG, that means Ceasefire monitoring group, should be very careful. And Naga public society also, I will request them to be very careful.
Okay.
And influence their leaders so that they can have a settlement.
Yes, I'll just say 2 words: constructive cooperation. That's what's needed now.
Constructive cooperation, that is what is needed. Sanjay Hazarika, I don't know whether he's on the phone line.
Yes, I am.
Yes, Sanjay, your parting words. Your parting words, 20 seconds.
One is, obviously, an inclusive agreement takes time. That's as we've heard, so it's difficult. The second is, as I said earlier, local governments placating local constituencies first is the real problem. And thirdly, the constitution ultimately, which can be changed to accommodate all demands, all agreement seekers, is ultimately the issue, the platform on which the solution for long-term solution will rest.
Absolutely. The third point which Mr. Sanjay Hazarika made is extremely important. What basically is the fact that Indian constitution is flexible enough and is quite capable of accommodating the interests, hopes and aspirations of different groups and communities across the country, including of course the Northeast in the context of the present Naga problem. I'm running absolutely short of time. I'd like to thank each and every one of my panelists and the viewers for watching this very, very engaging debate. Good night and goodbye.